for another amazing, exciting chapter of social studies. We are now in chapter 16, and we are expanding to the wild, well, not yet exactly that wild, West. And once again, to do your awesome, amazing social studies lessons, we've got Mr. Nichols. So without further ado, I'll pass the laptop to him, and we'll get started.
All right, here we go. We're going to go with chapter 16. This is us expanding west, heading out west. The thing you need to know to start with is Americans at this time had a belief called manifest destiny. And I think if you understand that it's a belief, all of this will make more sense. And to understand the difference, first off, there's things I believe, and then there's things I like. I like a good pizza, and I'll do a lot of stuff to get a pizza. I will not die for one. I will not sacrifice my family. I will not put things at risk in my life just because I like pizza. I believe in certain things. Most of you that know me know I'm a religious man, and I believe in those things, and I'm willing to die for that. I'm willing to sacrifice my family. I'm willing to sacrifice my things because that is a belief. And when you understand manifest destiny is all of a sudden this belief system in America that America should spread from the Atlantic Ocean all the way to the Pacific Ocean, and it should be all ours. The moment they start that as a belief, people are willing to take the ultimate risk to head out west. People are willing to put themselves in a situation where they may die because they believe they should own the land. And manifest destiny isn't just believing you should own the land. Manifest destiny is a belief that God wants you to own the land from the Atlantic to the Pacific. And once again, things you believe for, if it is a belief system that touches to your religious beliefs, you're willing to follow it at all costs. And so once people started this belief of manifest destiny, it didn't matter if there were Native Americans, it didn't matter if there was disease or if there was deserts or the Rocky Mountains. They were willing to give it a try to go over all those because they believed that America should spread coast to coast. So I think once you grasp it, it's a belief system. It does start to change and help you understand what these people are going to go through. In fact, here is one of the most famous paintings of that time. And if you look carefully, you can see there is an angel right in the center. And that's showing that they believed God was leading them out west. And you'll start to talk about the different explorers and stuff. If you look at the bottom dead center, you can see those are miners. We're going to talk about the Santa Fe Trail. You'll notice in the bottom left over there, you can see some Native Americans. You see a herd of buffalo behind them. Immediately to the right of them, where I'm sitting, you can see people in wagons showing the Oregon Trail. Then you can also see in the background with trains coming, the travel by water, even the Golden Gate Bridge in the background. So this just shows that they believed America, that God, right there in the center, the angel, was leading them all in that direction. Very, very famous painting that actually sums up what they're all thinking and believing at this time. To understand the first people that start to head out west, you understand the missionaries. They are going to open up the West for settlers. What happens is in 1836 in St. Louis, Missouri, Marcus Whitman is living there, and some Native Americans come into St. Louis, and they are looking for anybody to help them understand what they call the Black Book. We find out these are Native Americans called the Nez Perce Indians that came from out in the Oregon, Washington area that had ran into and met Lewis and Clark. And this should give you a deeper understanding of Lewis and Clark and their religious beliefs. Is they every morning got up and they had devotional time. They read in the Bible and they would pray and then they would go about their day. And apparently watching Lewis and Clark and the people that with them, they're the type of people that not only read and did those things in the morning, but then their lifestyle and the way they treated others was reflected in their belief system that they had. And here's the thing, it's not much different than it is today. When someone sees you, that you truly believe in what your religion is, you truly follow what your religion is, you have based your life on it, people want to know about it. when it's just something that's fake, when it's something you do just occasionally to go to visit your church or do things. If it's not real, people don't care. But when it's real in somebody, people are willing to do anything to find out what made it real in you. And what happens is Lewis and Clark live it. And these Native Americans watch them read this black book every day and wondering, what are they learning? What are they doing? And the Nez Perce Indians wanted to know what was in that black book. And so after Lewis and Clark had gone, I mean, we're talking, it's 30 years later, y'all. And it is still being talked about among those Native Americans about what was different about Lewis and Clark. And they believed it directly related to that black book. And so these Native Americans come into St. Louis and are begging for someone to go all the way to Oregon to teach them what was in the black book. And Marcus Whitman, a Christian at that time living there, he's tugged at his heartstrings. When people were wanting to learn and wanting to understand your religion, if you're a true believer, you want to tell them. And so Marcus Whitman takes his wife Narcissa and his good friend Henry Spalding and his wife Eliza, and they follow the Indians and head out west all the way to Oregon to be able to witness to these Native Americans. They go out there, they actually begin to teach them farming, they begin to teach them some milling things. Now the Native Americans knew a lot, they're reciprocating, teaching Marcus Whitman them things also, but there was a community feeling between these 4 settlers that came this way, and those 2 women were the first white women, first Caucasian women to actually go over the Rockies in that day and age. And they made it over there, and like I say, it was wonderful. Things were going great for them, and it lasts for quite a while. But what happens then is Marcus Whitman needs more help out there because there's so many Native Americans. He decides to travel all the way back to New York City to get some more Christians to come help to take care of the Native Americans out there. And so Marcus Whitman, unbeknownst to him, becomes one of the biggest leading thing for people to head out west. Because as he starts to come east to go to New York City, he would stop at churches and he would help them and say, please, I need help with this. And as he's describing Oregon with this fertile farmland, this abundance of wildlife, and this sea right next to the ocean and all its riches, people are encouraged to come out west. When he would do a church service, you had a certain percentage of the service where some people were going, hey, I need to go help and witness to these Native Americans. But then you had another chunk of people who were going, there's free land and an opportunity for me to make a new start. You had some people going, fertile farmland, oh, I can really grow some crops out there. You had some hunters going, my goodness, the beaver are massive out there and in abundance. And so even though he's calling for missionaries at every time he stopped at a church and gave his little sermon, he was inspiring massive amounts of people to want to head out west. And so he goes church to church all the way to New York City and then comes back across all the way back to Oregon. By the time he gets there, people are starting to pour into the state. And so there's actually starting to be some white people show up into this area. And once again, it's people with different things. There are the missionaries, there are the farmers, there are all the things. And things are going well. But what happens is all these settlers coming in, just like when we first came into the United States, it wasn't war or famine or things that killed the Native Americans. It was diseases that they weren't, of all times, hey, here you go. You want to talk about this stuff right now. It's to where diseases were taking them out. Just like right now, we're all shut down in our houses because of this. Well, there was no self-quarantine at that time for the Native Americans. And so when someone shows up with smallpox or someone shows up with measles, and in this case it was the measles, and they show up, the Caucasian people, the white settlers, this is something we're used to. We have developed an immunity to, and so they would catch it, be sick for a little, and then be better. But the Native Americans are catching it, and dying in droves. There was the end of Marcus Whitman. The story goes this way, is when he comes back and he's witnessing, there are these Native Americans truly believe he does talk with God. I mean, he has a communication with God because of this little black book and his prayer life and everything. And when he comes back, there is a young group of Native Americans that notice that all the Native Americans are dying and none of the white people are. And so they decide that Marcus Whitman, talking to God, has asked a curse to be put on the Native Americans and is trying to kill them. And so in the middle of the night, they knock on his door. Marcus Whitman opens the door to his cabin, and he is tomahawked and killed right there. But because of Marcus Whitman, there is this whole encouragement of people to want to head out west now because of his missionary beliefs. There is Marcus Whitman right above my head, right there. And then there's some Nez Perce Indian. Is it going? Wait, do I have to point this way? If I just do this, it gets both. All right. Yeah, there you go. All right. So, all right. The Oregon Trail. Let's get into this. The Oregon Trail is that trail that you're going to have to go out west as the explorers and everything like that. The Oregon Trail, there's a good chance you're not making it. There is a very, very good chance you're not making it to Oregon. Oregon Trail, the way you had to do it is it's going to take 6 months to travel there. And doesn't matter if you're going to do the Oregon Trail, the Santa Fe Trail, any of them, even the Mormon Trail, you start in St. Louis. And when you would start in St. Louis, you had to get there in February or March to go ahead and get your spot, get things set up, buy all your supplies, have your wagon ready. And you were waiting for spring to hit. When you thought there was no more snow coming down, you started out. And it's going to take you 6 months. So let's just say you start in April, May, June, July, August, September is when you're going to get it. You're hitting about the perfect time if you do that. You need to be traveling every day of the week. There is no off day. You need to be doing about 20 to 25 miles a day every day for 6 months to be able to time the Rockies, to hit it at the right part, to go through. Jedediah Smith's going to find the South Pass, but to be able to go through the Rockies before the snow hits. Because if you've ever seen pictures of the Rockies, there is snow at the top of the Rockies. And you almost have to wait for the summer to finish out as much snow as melted as can be. Right before you've got the minimum amount of snow before the next snow hits, when it gets to be October, November, and bam, that snow comes in and drops 6, 8, 10 foot of it again, then guess what? You can't get over the Rockies. So if you traveled from St. Louis and got to the Rockies a little too late and snow hits, you're in the most hostile area you could be, and you have to spend a year there before you can pop back up and over. You're not going to make it. If you don't make it there in time, you die. There's a very good chance that along the way, you die. Because as you head out across the Oregon Trail, with 20, 25 miles to go a day, your wagon that you're going to pack isn't a wagon to ride in. It's a wagon to carry all of life's supplies that you could carry with you. So they would pack this wagon full of pots, pans, sugar, flour. You're going to need things for the trip. You're going to need extra wagon wheels. You're going to need your axle grease. You're going to need all these things. And that was the neat game we played as kids, is the game Oregon Trail. You had to decide what all you were going to pack into your wagon. But as you packed your wagon's full, you start to walk. What if you get sick? You've got to keep up the 20, 25 miles a day, don't you? Well, if you got to get in the wagon and lay down, something in that wagon's got to get thrown out. And so all along the Oregon Trail, there's a scatter of debris to where somebody got sick. Well, we don't need the silverware. Chuck it out. We'll make our own. Oh, somebody broke a leg. Well, we're going to have to decide that we're not going to have the pots and pans. Chunk them out. Sometimes you chunked out the wrong thing. You needed the extra wagon wheel. You chucked it out a while back. You break a wagon wheel, you die. And so there is a very good chance you're not making it over the Oregon Trail. But once again, go back to that belief system. it's a belief that it's theirs to do this. And so they're willing to take this risk to go out there. But coming across, you did have problems with the Native Americans. You did have the deserts. You did have things like that. But the biggest obstacle was those Rockies. The Rockies take down whole groups of people. There is the most famous one is the Donner Party. I encourage my kids in my class that when you go out to a restaurant, when you get to go back out again, and they ask for your last name, always say Donner. That way, when they come across the thing, they say, Donner, party of four. Donner, party of four. And it's just a fun little history laugh you get at the restaurant. But let me tell you about the Donner Party then. The Donner Party is on its way. They are trying to make the Oregon Trail. They are running just about a week and a half behind, but the snow actually comes just a little early too. So the combination of them being a little bit back to where they should be because of problems with axles and things, and to where the snow is going to come in early, they start up over the Rocky Mountains. As they get almost to the top, the first snow comes in. It's only 6 foot of snow. And the more snow is coming, and it just keeps piling on and piling on. They realize they are now stuck there for a year. They need help. There is 87 people in the Donner Party. 15 of those people, you'll be able to do the math here in a minute. This is also a math lesson. The 15 of those people are going to go searching for some help. They are going to get out, take some supplies, and go down the mountain. They leave. That leaves a bunch of people there. It still leaves 62 people there. Is that right? 62? You do the math. And so those 15 people go off. They come back. And when they come back, they're able to find 46 of the people. But no corpses for the other people. Because what happened is they ran out of food. Then they ate their animals. Then people started to die of starvation. And once people started to die of starvation, the only option left was to eat or to be eaten. And so as people would pass on, to stay alive, the Donner Party had to consume the people that had died. They did have little rules about it when they went out to get somebody. One person went out instead of others, and they didn't tell who they got it off of. So if you were eating one of your cousins or your uncle or, somebody like that, or baby back ribs, however you want to do it, but you didn't know who you were eating and everything. This traumatized the people in the Donner Party, even after their rescue and everything. They did studies on them and followed up with them to see, and the people that lived through it, their lives were still shattered from that moment of having to choose: do you die of starvation or do you resort to cannibalism? And so if you're at an all-you-can-eat meat buffet, tell them your name's Donner. I'm just saying, it's quite funny, other than nobody ever catches it. Like, only 12 of you are watching this whole thing right now, and so history has been lost on people. But that's all right. So let's keep up going. Other people that are going to head out there, fur trappers for this, you got the farmers, and they're all ending up at the Pacific coast. Here is a picture of the old Oregon Trail game that you saw that we played when we were kids. I died of dysentery, I don't know how many different times. And there is, as you can see, it was a trail of constant stream of people heading out west. All right, the other one that you had the Santa Fe Trail. And as people headed out the Santa Fe Trail, once again, you wanted to get to St. Louis, and you wanted to do it early in the spring. Yours is only going to take 2 months to go out to Santa Fe. Why do you still want to get there and head out after the last snow so you can still make it? Even though it only takes the 2 months to travel, the last month of the Santa Fe Trail is across desert. And so you're going to need a wagon load of water, and you want to, if once again you leave in April, May, you don't want to get out on the desert in June, July, and August. And so they want to get there as quick as they can before the heat comes. The other race, you're trying to get out there before the snow. This one, you're trying to race before the heat. Two different types of people. Miners are going to go down the Santa Fe Trail because it ends up in the middle of nowhere, just desert all around. But there was a lot of gold, there was a lot of silver, there was a lot of copper, things that they're going to begin to mine out there. Other people that went out there were ones that took items with them to trade with the natives for things they had. So the Oregon Trail is more family-oriented, people looking to farm or to missionary. Santa Fe Trail is more of your young people, miners, or people looking to make money on certain things. But at this time, still, everybody's headed out west. There is pictures right there. The Oregon Trail is the one at the top, and as you can see, you start in St. Louis, and it goes up and over, and you see where Marcus Whitman was, and the dolls and everything. And at the bottom is the Santa Fe Trail. Once you get to the Cimarron, there are two routes you can take. You can go up through Colorado, or you can go right down through the desert. You are still headed towards Santa Fe, New Mexico, for the mining. Other people that are heading out there is the Mormons. The Mormons are going to go, if you've got the Oregon going through the top of America and you've got the Santa Fe going through the south, you're going to have the Mormons go straight through the center. And it is called the Mormon Trail. In 1830, Joseph Smith is living in New York. He is a 14-year-old boy at the time, and he has a vision from God. He is told of an old book, and he writes it down. One thing, he said he was shown some gold tablets, but he can't find them later, and he starts a religion. At this time, you have to understand the area that you're in. This is right next to puritanical New England. People are still very diehard about their religion. And when you come up with a new religion that has a few things that made people upset at that time, now today, once again, we're fine with whatever religion you want to believe. But in this day and age, he had beliefs that things like God was a man at one point and just was good enough to achieve being God, and that other people could achieve being gods also. This did not sit well with some of the people in New York. I'm not saying anything bad about it today, but in this day and age, do we have to remind you of the Salem witch trials? Y'all remember how it went when you had a little bit different beliefs going on and everything? So, in this day and age, Joseph Smith and the Mormons, they start to grow, but when people around them are hearing these things, some people become very zealot about things, and they begin to get persecuted. It is constant persecution, that they are eventually asked to leave the state of New York. They go to the state of Ohio. They build cities there. They started, and there is persecution. They are asked to leave at that point too. They go to Illinois. In Illinois in 1844, it's not that they're asked to leave. A mob kills Joseph Smith for the things that he's saying and believing. Joseph Smith, one of the things that's bothering people this time also is Mormons believe they could have more than one wife. Joseph Smith at this point had 40 wives when he died. And this, I mean, it's your opinion what you want your religion to be today, but this in this day and age, 40 wives was bothering some people. And so in Illinois, he is killed. At that point, they decide they're going to go on, and they go over to Missouri. And from St. Louis, they leave and head out west. They go straight down the center. They are only wanting to get out. There is pictures of Joseph Smith, as you can see, as a young man. There is the Mormon church today in the top corner right there. It is a massive complex, a beautiful church. And there is a copy of the Book of Mormon that he wrote. There's Brigham Young in the bottom corner right there. What's going to happen is when they leave from Illinois, a man named Brigham Young is going to take over and lead the Mormons out west. The BYU University, though, it's a Mormon school. It's called Brigham Young University and everything. That's who it's named after. He leads them all the way to Salt Lake City in 1864. Salt Lake City is Salt Lake. I don't know what to tell you other than that. It is not. Here's the thing. It's not where anybody would want to live because of the Salt Lake, so it's exactly where they would want to live. because it's not that they were looking for a great watering hole. They were looking for a place to practice their religion freely and stop the persecution because of it. And so a place where nobody else really wanted to be was exactly where they want to be. By 1877, they are up to 125,000 people in the state of Utah. And so it is just growing and growing and growing. And we will stop there. We're going to jump right into Explorers on the next one. Hope you kids are paying attention and doing some learning.